Today we're repotting my philodendron. I bought it at the nursery last week, and I just wanted to make sure it would live in my apartment before I repotted it. So it's been a week. It's not dead. Hopefully that's good. My apartment is very low light, so we'll see. Anyway, I'm just going to start off. I had it in this pot, just chilling, in its little nursery pot. And then today I checked just to see how the roots are, and it is quite root bound, as you can see. So we're going to put it in a bigger pot. I didn't want to permanently put it in this pot, even though it's a little bit bigger, just because I know these guys get big. So we're going to put it in this one. And the drainage holes at the bottom are quite big because this is also a nursery pot from a plant I had last year or the year before. So we're going to take some paper towel and just line the bottom real quick. Now, I still want the water to be able to drain through, so I'm not going to jam pack it perfectly in there, just enough so the soil doesn't go everywhere. And then I have my soil mix. It's nothing special, just all-purpose, the cheapest all-purpose soil I could find, and I mixed it with, I think, sheep manure it was, back in the summer last year. And I've been reusing this soil. I used some of it for tomatoes, peppers outside, and then I kept a separate little bit for my indoor plants just so it wouldn't be infected with pests from outside. But yeah, I used the same soil for all my plants and they're doing fine, so hopefully that's okay. We're gonna just put a little bit of soil in. I also have coffee grinds to mix in with the soil that I'm putting into this pot here, just to get a little bit of air in there and oxygen for the roots once it's planted. Now, you might think I'm really extra with this much soil compared to this tiny little pot, but you'd be surprised once you pack it down how much soil you actually need. So I'm just going to add in my coffee grinds. Some are fresh, some are old. I don't really care. Mix it in there a little bit. Now, in the spring, I do put a fertilizer on top. It's not liquid fertilizer, it's like little beads. So otherwise, I don't really use fertilizer. I use it maybe twice in the summer, and that's it. And my plants pop out new babies all the time, so doing something right. Okay, and then I'm going to take this and I'm going to make a little well because I don't know how big this plant will fill, how much. So I'll just squeeze the sides to pop it out. The roots on this one are pretty thick, so you don't have to be too gentle. Doesn't really matter. Okay. Seems to be almost level with the top. You don't want it to be completely level with the top because then you water it, it might overflow. So it's just a little bit down, so that's good enough for me. I'm just gonna take my soil, I could use the spoon, and pop it in there. This is kind of the tricky part when you're repotting plants. I was repotting another philodendron. Maybe it's a pothos. I don't know. It says philodendron on the label, but it's a silvery Ann philodendron, so it looks like a pothos. But anyway, the leaves were crazy, and it's just so hard to repot without breaking the leaves and getting everywhere in between. There we go. And I have a few chunks of big dirt, so I'm just going to break that apart with my spoon. There we go. Looking good. All right. All right. Well, I had this plate under here to catch all the dirt so I wouldn't make a big mess, but looks like I made a big mess anyway. I have a little baby sticking up here. That's nice. Hopefully that grows in. I don't know. Like I said, my apartment's very low light, so we'll see. I have a north and a west facing window, and I'm in a basement, so Gotta get all the low light plants. Okay, that looks good. It's not packed in yet. So I'm just gonna lightly pack it in. Break apart those big pieces. Make sure the baby plants are sticking through still. Alrighty. Now, I don't want to pack it too hard, just so that when I do water it, all the water can go through. So, I'll clean up my mess a little bit here. Ooh. Okay, done with that. Done with that. This can go away. And I didn't use all my coffee grinds, but you can just judge based on how much you think you want. So, I have my new repotted plant here. Check the bottom, it's all good. And I have water here that's been sitting for more than 24 hours. I use tap water, I don't use distilled water, spring water, any of that fancy stuff. Just pop some in a jar, pop some tap water, let it sit for at least 24 hours. It gets all the chlorine out, and none of my plants have died in the last like 5 years, so we're good. I'm gonna water it pretty well because it hasn't been watered since it's been at the nursery. And then after that, I'm gonna let it go pretty bone dry before I water it again. Now, since I have that cloth at the bottom, I'm just gonna check and see if it's wet yet. Because usually when you water plants really, really well, you want it to soak through so that it's draining through onto the plate or whatever catcher saucer you have. But I don't know if it'll do it because of the paper towel. Okay. Oh, little baby, don't cry. Oh yeah, I can start seeing it getting wet there. So that's good enough for watering. So this is the final product, just in a bigger pot. You can see that if you take a closer look, let me get a little closer to the camera here, that I still have about maybe half a fingernail to a full fingernail space before the rim and the soil meet. So that's usually good for watering. Okay, so I just put my plant back where its home is, and now I'm just gotta clean up this mess. Well, I'll see you next time, guys. Have a good day.